Hey friends, this is Yuri from YNC Comics, and today I want to share with you a comic book I came across from Latinx creators. Yes, and it is called Home. It's a very special comic book. I will tell you that what caught my attention, first of all, was the name. I saw the cover, I saw the announcement from Image Comics that this comic book was coming out, and it caught my attention. But what was more interesting is when I read that it was the story of an immigrant family who was migrating to the United States from Guatemala. If you didn't know, I am originally born and raised in Guatemala, and I came here when I was a teen. And when I was reading this story, and I cannot say this without crying a little bit or breaking down, this story starts really sad. And it's close to my heart, it's close to home. Because just like the main character in this story, I actually have to cross Mexico and Guatemala to get to the United States. And it took me about a month of traveling. And this story was born out of the whole separation law, or the zero tolerance policy that was created or that was enforced, because the policy has been there for a long time, but the law has been there. But the policy itself, the zero tolerance policy, came in the past administration, where many children were separated from their parents. And I have to tell you that reading this comic book, I had to stop. Because when I get to the middle of the story, I am now a mom of a toddler. And when I got to this exact part of the story, there is a toddler being breastfed. And he's being yanked away from his mom. And the mom wants to finish at least feeding her child. And the ICE officers separate them and take the baby away from the mom. And that's not the story of the main character. But anyway, I had to stop reading the book because my heart just couldn't take it. Thinking about all these kids. Thinking about my story, my own journey here. And I will tell you that it is an old policy, because back in 1983 or 84, I came as a toddler to the United States with my mom and was separated from her for 2 weeks. It was the longest weeks that my mom had. My brother and I were separated from her. We were both babies. My brother was probably a year and I was 2 years and a half old. And I cannot imagine what my mom was going through during that time. But I do know that 2 weeks later we were reunited and we were sent back home. Back to Guatemala. And I cannot even imagine what many kids are going through right now, as they still haven't been reunited with their parents. And probably have been separated for more than 1 year. Many of them don't even know who their parents are, because they were separated when they were just babies. And now they're 3 years old in foster homes. And our government doesn't even know where these kids' original parents or biological parents are, because they were just deported. So this story really, they have done a great job. Julio Anta did a really good job in putting the words together, and just the contributors of this story. I have to read you the names: Ana Wensick, Brian Valenza, Hassan Otsani Elau, and Julio Anta. They did a great job on putting together so beautifully such a horrific story, because it's a horror of what's going on with this zero tolerance policy. And hopefully now we can find a resolution. But I mean, the reality is that immigrants are still coming and they're still being mistreated or unjustly not being given proper care while they're being held and waiting to be processed. So this story, it's really close to my heart, and I was a little nervous at first, but I was looking forward to it. I have never read a story that spoke so closely to my heart as this one. And any minute I'm reading this book, and in any minute I'm waiting for the superpowers to come in and our main character to become a superhero, beat the crap out of anybody who's trying to do harm to these children, and reunite the kids with their parents. And I'm waiting for that. And there is hope at the end of the story. I don't want to spoil it for you. There is hope, but it's the reality. It's a real and sad story, but it's real. And the great thing is that it gives us a little bit of hope. And of course, this is a situation that's going on right now. Still, there's a lot of things that have to be resolved for many families that have been affected by the zero tolerance for the past 4 years. But just like this story, at the end, there's a little bit of hope. This is cover A and cover B that you see here. And I mean, we all come to this country with the promised land, with the hope of a better future. And I can tell you that, thankfully, I have a better future. I have a better outcome today. I was able to finish my school, get an education here, and bring my family, have hope for my family, right? And for my children now, to have a better future than what we would have had if we would have stayed in our country that was going through a civil war when we came. But anyway, this book just came out. It's fresh off the press. The story continues. It will be coming on to your local comic book store on May 19th. So follow the story. It's a miniseries, and I just gotta tell you, they did an excellent job. They did an excellent job of putting this story together. And I have to read this for you guys, because this is pretty much the summary of the story. It says, when a young boy is turned away from his mother while seeking asylum to the United States border, something begins to change in him. And it isn't just the trauma and anxiety and guilt you expect. He doesn't know it yet, but it's the onset of superhuman abilities that will change his life forever. And it's really good, guys. You guys have to go pick it up. If you haven't read or heard much about the separation and the treatment of immigrants in the U.S. border, you guys can pick it up here. But just so you know how good this book is, the first print already sold out, guys. The second print is going on right now and should be coming out to the bookstores, to the comic book stores pretty soon. So if you haven't gotten your copy, call your local comic book shop and place an order, because those are gonna sell out pretty fast. And I'm just so fortunate that I called my LCS and I said, hey, I need a copy of this comic book. And they were so nice to tell me, hey, they have cover A and B, which one you want? And of course, I had to get both of them. And I will tell you, this one caught my attention. When I saw this one, I saw the cover. And as soon as I saw the cover, I knew I was going to cry reading this comic book, because it's so close to my heart. The storyline. I didn't know that the story was going to be so close to my own experience. At least half of the experience, that I had to stop reading it and continue reading the next day. So it took me 2 days to read it. Not because not because it was boring or anything like that. In the contrary, it was so good that it moved and it touched my heart so much the first half of the book, that I had to stop to take a breath and read the second part calmly and with a different lens. I am excited to get the second part of this comic book coming on May 19. And I can't wait to see this kid get superpowers and do some awesome things. So to Image Comics, thank you for putting this story out there. It's amazing, and it's a great way to tell the reality of a horrific thing that's going on in the world into a book and into the eyes and the hands of those that don't know much about it. All right, don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Until next time.